Hello and welcome to Triathlonology, a triathlon podcast by Animis racing team. I'm Oliver.
And I'm Jackie. We are a mum and son coaching team who have changed our lives through the sport of triathlon.
Our podcast aims to break down the mysteries of triathlon training and show you, the listener, how simple and flexible it can be so that it really does become part of your lifestyle and not just a hobby. Hello and welcome to another episode of Triathlonology, a triathlon podcast by Animis racing team.
I'm Jackie Saxon.
And I'm Oliver Saxon, and together we're a mum and son coaching team based in North Lincolnshire and South Yorkshire, and this podcast gives out our thoughts, opinions and advice about all things relating to triathlon in our typical, straightforward, no-nonsense Yorkshire style. So today we are going to talk about a couple of things, really, and then probably round up with some
news.
Other like parish notices, yeah. As my old law lecturer Alistair Spears used to say, parish notices.
Right.
We'll do them at the end rather than at the beginning of this episode. It might be a bit more of a generally conversation episode, this one.
Yeah.
So if you want to come along with us for 25 minutes, half an hour, then we
bit of entertainment.
Gladly have you with us, dear reader.
Yes. So what's been happening, Oliver?
Well, not a great deal, other than like we're back training and back in the pool. Back
in the pool if you're booked on.
Well, yes, at your place, not necessarily at mine.
Yes, because I turned up at the pool today. Not had to book on since COVID, really. And told it was full, although it didn't fall. But it was full.
Well, there's no such nonsense at Crowle, other than I have to get my dad here a bit longer. I'm still working on him to be able to come swimming again. I'll get him eventually. But today, because we got in plenty of time, I didn't have a person literally running at me.
Oh, yeah.
When I'm trying to finish my session, rather than taking a step to the side. But, free and easy swimming after 9 o'clock, isn't it? So, these are obstacles you have to put with. At least it means I can practice what I preach when I'm teaching our swimmers to look up in front of them when you're swimming, with your hairline between your eyebrows and the water, so you can see the danger that's coming, because nobody expects someone running towards them in the water, but it happens.
Yeah. So, I've turned up this morning and to no places. And when I ask why, it's because people come in to the pool from the gym and don't book themselves in, even though we're still on COVID lanes at Concord. And so there's 3 massive big lanes. And when I looked in, there were nobody there other than what normally is there. So you tell me, I were a bit mad. But anyway,
I can imagine how mad she was, even though I weren't there.
But I didn't go off on one. I just said, I know it's not your fault, love. I'll book in. And
then just back to Taylor's Wifting and running on the treadmill.
Yeah, I'm using the lever a lot. I love the lever. So
yes, I'm back on the lever with me, and having recalibrated it, and very helpfully I had a telephone call with lever because I couldn't work out why when I was on it. I started it at like 19 kilos less body weight, and by the time I got to the end it was 8, and it's because you have to stand literally in the middle of the frame.
Oh well, I'm gonna
set it,
and then
you have to stay there, or you have to set it where you're going to run, because if you move, then it'll change how the tension is, which is complete sense when you think about it.
Well, it is, but I can't get mine to work all that properly, so I will ring them up and.
But they are excellent at arranging a Google Meet call to telephone you back and sort your problem out. So there's class from lever.
One of us other beefs today is once again British Triathlon.
Yes. So it was the Yorkshire AGM last Saturday, which we had toyed with the idea of going to again, having been to Manvers last year, which readers of this podcast will realise we did a podcast about last year.
Yeah, we did. And this time
we thought, we'll go. They'll have learned from the mistakes, and it'll be more of a conversation about how the members feel about their running of triathlon in Yorkshire.
Because after all, it is the annual general meeting of members.
There is gubbins that they have to present, but the idea is you get through all those and leave plenty of time for your members to question you on what you're doing.
Well,
instead, however, bearing in mind that this is aimed at grassroots clubs and participants, They decided to have it at the Brownlee Centre in Leeds. Fine, no problem with that. It's a venue that's easy to get to, plenty of parking. And it's relatively new, so why not show it off? But they offered us 2 lectures for 2 hours of the AGM, which only was going to go up to lunchtime from 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
2 hours of that. 1 hour lecture about the excess carbohydrate when you're doing an ultra event. And the second lecture was about heat acclimatisation for athletes. Now, I can tell you that there are probably 5 people that I've come across coaching in triathlon in 8 years where they have needed to know about either of those things.
Yeah, well, me too, Oliver. I mean,
because it's
not ridiculous.
When with heat acclimatisation, we did it spontaneously in Portugal when we were there 2 years ago because a heat wave appeared out of the blue. But you can't predict that, so you can't really prepare for it. You're only really talking about doing that if you're going to go to like a tropical place.
Yeah, if you're going to corner.
Australia, anywhere in the Far East. Really, where most of grassroots athletes are racing in Donny or exotic places like Swansea, or Weymouth, Scotland,
or Tenby.
Yeah, and if you ever needed to heat acclimatise in Scotland, then we've got a big problem with global warming.
Yeah.
So, in the end, we decided we weren't going to bother because it just took. Well, it was largely them just showing off. Look how much information we have and how much we know, and none of it was relevant, in our opinion, to the vast majority of British Triathlons members, because not many of them are ever going to need to know how to acclimatise to heat properly or have the ability to acclimatise, because it's not like you get 3 weeks notice that there's a heat wave coming, even if you're training in the summer,
or even that you'll be able to go to Brownlee Centre and train in that on their facilities, because I very much doubt that you would be able to.
But however, if you do want to know how to heat acclimatise, then the best thing I could recommend is go in your kitchen, turn the light on, put the heating on, and
your oven,
and put your oven on and train in that. That's probably about as good as you're going to get to being heat acclimatised. If you need to add humidity in it, do it in the shower, in the bathroom, and turn your shower on, because full blast, and that'll give you some humidity as well as heat, and close the door.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's a 1 hour lecture explained, and you'll need 3 weeks to build up to be able to do it in exactly the same way as altitude. You need to have 3 weeks altitude to get the benefit of that. So there you go, problem solved. And
then how to absorb 120 grams of carbohydrate. Was it 120 grams?
Must have been that for 180 for 180 grams. Which is, again, fine, but I, again, probably know 3 people who've done an ultra event, full stop, where they're going to need to take that on. And it largely depends on the weather conditions, which we saw at Kona, when Blumenfeld and Gustav Heiden kept spewing up all over the place because they were trying to take in too much carbohydrate and their stomachs had shut. So it is, being able to do this is only as good as the conditions that you find you in. And instead, practice what you do at home. Because if it's a bit hotter when you get to where you're doing your race, just have a bit more salty water.
Yeah. It's not rocket science, this. Although they are trying to make it out. So we thought, do we want to drive for more than an hour?
And then an hour back.
And an hour back in traffic and then sit and listen to all this tripe, because I am going to call it tripe. That is a Yorkshire word. And have 5 minutes at the end.
A rushed 5 minutes.
Rushed 5 minutes at the end for us to raise our queries. No, I've got better things to do with my time on a Saturday morning, aka training.
Or going to a football match.
Yeah, or working.
So, or working, which is what I did to catch myself up. And all we really wanted to do was listen to what they'd got to say about how they thought they were running things, because last year I wasn't impressed, and I think they were giving themselves a false impression of how good things were on the ground by massaging the data. And if that trick was repeated again this year, it was unequivocally going to be put forward by me that we had a vote of no confidence in everybody in British Triathlon, the main national board, and also the Yorkshire board, because nothing's improved from our point of view.
Nothing.
As event organisers and athletes. Nothing's improving. Everything's just getting more expensive. And what did you get for justify for that?
Yeah, because putting your race pass up to £15.
Just a barrier to entry for people.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, I know you want people to be members, but there's better ways of doing it than that, actually getting them better member benefits. When we first started, well, even before COVID, when we were British Triathlon members, we got kit brick bags and all sorts.
Yeah,
free.
we did. Towels.
We get some gloves this year.
Is it gloves? No, gloves last year, didn't we?
I don't know, I thought it was this year.
No, last year we got gloves.
Which I didn't even bother with.
I don't even think we've got anything this year. And our membership's £100 and odd. That's just us as coaches.
And I don't expect to get some like a big gift for free, but when you're used to it and then they start tailoring it down and putting the price up, you sort of think, well, what am I getting for this? For us, it's important because we're coaches and we need it for our insurance and we need it for training and racing abroad and we need it for putting our events on. But if you're an ordinary like triathlete who doesn't do any of those things and just wants to go about being a BTF member, and we encourage people to become BTF members, it's really difficult to sell the benefits of something that is getting prohibitively expensive and offers you relatively little value.
So you think, well, again, we're Yorkshire folk and we want value.
But I think also we run businesses.
Yeah, and if I ran my business like British Triathlon run there, well, I wouldn't have one.
And I mean, the case in point is that video we had done this time last year for Swim Bike Run, which should have been available and been promoted nationally for Swim Bike Run in January, but they didn't actually send it to us in an email till April.
What's the
somebody
point?
would have got sacked for that. If I'd have employed a marketing person to do that, and they'd let that happen, well, there'd have been problems.
So, I think, no, we're not probably thinking, we're moaning again. But it's important that grassroots athletes and grassroots triathletes and racers are looked after and promoted and given every chance to flourish.
And it's not just our money and taxpayers' money from Sport England. It's not just being used in the service of getting elite athlete, getting medals at the Olympics, because yes, that assists, absolutely it does, but that's not the be all and end all.
No, because I've got to ask yourself, what has happened since Paris, and Alex Sheed gold medal, and Beth Potter's bronze,
and the silver medal and the gold medal in the bronze medal in the relay. Have you seen anything
on TV?
On mainstream media or other social media accounts other than British Triathlon about how this is exciting or how you can take part in this?
Do you want to get your kids involved?
Have you seen the races on TV again on like the Red Button or anything like that? Because it used to be on BBC Two. Obviously that's been sacked off because it's probably expensive. But even on the Red Button, none of that either.
Nope.
None of that either.
So how are we going
Especially
to get...
when it was the World Championships in Torremolinos a couple of weeks ago.
we're running Torremolinos, flipping heck. And they send loads of age groupers as well, which...
Costs a fortune.
Which actually, if you're an age group athlete, it costs a mint.
Well, if you're a professional athlete, you have to pay for your GB tri-suit, especially at middle and longer distance, because Joe Skipper's in dispute with him.
Yeah, because he's going to run...
He's raced for USA Triathlon this year rather than pay for his own tri-suit, which, to be fair, when you're a professional, I think it's a fair point. They don't ask England internationals, men or female, to pay for their own kit when they turn up, do they?
No, I just think, there's a lot of things happen that shouldn't be happening, and you should be seeing elite triathletes going out into the community, spreading the word, and getting young people involved and interested and excited about it. And it's just not happening.
Nope.
At the end of the day, we are paying those elite athletes wages.
Yes, but also, largely they'll be dictated to by their managers and people at BTF. But what is more motivating for someone who doesn't really know what triathlon is than somebody turning up with a medal and going, hey, I'm just like you. I went to a similar thing. I didn't know what triathlon was at your age, but look at me. Here's my medal.
This is how I did it.
Yeah, and guess what? There's a triathlon club down the road from you that you can go to, and there's a swim, bike, run event down the road you can go and enter. Why not? It's not a lot of...
It doesn't take a lot to get people interested in the sport if you do it in the right way. But then again, like we've said before, we run our own businesses. We know what we have to do to promote ourselves.
Yes, we were talking about this after the duathlon yesterday with some other people from a different triathlon club.
Cool.
Because when we were at the AGM last year, one of the bigwigs from British Triathlon who was there had said that her mission that year was to get better club integration. And we asked this other triathlon club if they felt that had been achieved in the last year. Did they feel more integrated with us and with other triathlon clubs within the vicinity? And they sniggered. No, of course they didn't, because nothing really has happened. But
No.
somebody is running that project and not getting very far with it. And yet nobody has checked in with any of the clubs at quarterly point to say, do you feel a benefit in what I am doing?
Like getting and putting barriers in people's way, in clubs' way. Like they were telling us that they've got all these new rules about swimming and kids, and they've got to put all these things on, and they only had 3 kids turn up, and you've got like two coaches. Come on.
Yeah, it's just going to mean that more clubs decide it's not worth the risk of putting it on, because you can't. Usually, you tend to get juniors who are related to somebody who already does triathlon.
It's either the mum or the dad or
uncle, auntie, or somebody like in the immediate family does triathlon, and that's how you pick them up.
Yeah.
90% of the time, you might get some of the people who've seen it on the telly or on Instagram
and badger them on.
I want to have a go.
Yeah.
Or some little kids who would, and even like little Bonnie who came yesterday. Her mum and her dad's into cycling and triathlon, isn't he? So that's why he's coming.
Yeah.
So yeah, it tends to be an example from above or older that brings them in. And if you haven't got people participating in them, because I'm sorry, going for a walk and looking at birds doesn't count as doing triathlon.
No. And doing a bit of wild swimming.
But you can get yourself some, I understand they've got targets to reach, but it's not really reaching the target, is it?
No, they're not proper targets, are they?
Goalposts.
Yeah, you've just dressed it up as something else.
I admit the hard truth that the triathlon is a difficult sell at the minute, and then do something about it.
Yeah, because we had our swim, bike, run event yesterday, which was a ridiculous title anyway. I don't know what we're wrong with Go Try, because that just says what it is. But anyway,
people involved in the swim, bike, run, reband are no longer involved in British Triathlon.
No,
so tells you everything you know.
So the swim, bike, run duathlon that we hold every month in Doncaster Cycle Track, we had a little family come along, and they absolutely loved it. And they said, "Why don't you get more kids?" And we said, "We don't know. We try really hard," because their little girl absolutely loved it. And you could see on her face, and you just think, that's why we put these events on. They said, it must be disheartening for you. And we said,
not really.
Not really, because
we like to see people having a go. But it's it's not an us problem that struggles to reach kids or young adults to do the event. Because when we had the event that was British Triathlon partnered with us last November, when they had Sam Dickinson coming with his gold medal, I went to all schools around Doncaster to offer them free places, and we didn't get anybody. And if that doesn't tell you that there's a problem, I don't know what will.
And their approach is coming direct to the school from British Triathlon.
And yet, there's no insight for us as to how they did that, whether we can follow up with any of these schools.
Have they got some names for me to ring up and say...
Whether they got any response to that.
Yeah, because I'd be happy to go and do assemblies and take my bike, take my kit, everything, show kids because they're all interested, and try and build up some, some...
Then get them to come for free.
Yeah.
No matter to us.
No, we love seeing people have a good time.
And because we genuinely know that triathlon transforms people's lives. That one of the people who took part yesterday said that because of her personality, it was either doing exercise or doing drinking. And she chose exercise.
Yeah,
and you think, great.
That's fantastic.
And some people will literally be on that, like, how are you going to cope with, like, stuff? And it's doing exercise releases so many endorphins and makes you feel so much better about life. And gives you... And particularly if you're an older person, being active is really helpful in extending your life and warding off cognitive illnesses. There's more and more research about that, as well as mobility illnesses, obviously.
And also, it's getting out and being social with people.
Seeing people.
So, in a non-threatening or mega competitive environment.
Yeah, because you could literally turn up and do half of the event that you've entered for, and we don't mind, do we?
No, because we just want you to do it. Yeah.
It's a relaxed entry into multi-sport.
So, do you think we've had a good rant there?
Yeah, I think so. But it's frustrating because things don't seem to change, and then how do you affect change? It's like gatekept, because you can't how do you get to have your say? Like last year, there weren't any other business. It were, we finished talking about ourselves, and now we're closing the meeting because we've got to do some
presentation for kids.
some kids.
And we also noticed that on the meeting for, with the agenda that sent us, that was going to happen again. So
if you've not got the ability to take feedback, good, bad, or indifferent, in a way that's you can say, well, and you can justify yourself, how is it ever going to get better? And who is it really ran for? Because people are being gatekept. I've never seen the ability to go, well, I'll have a go at doing this and getting to see if I can affect some change. It's never. When do we get a chance to go to the Triathlon England AGM, and how does that work out? Where you get to have your say there, or British Triathlon's AGM, and say, because I'm sure there are other people
who feel exactly the same as us.
And think that, help is not on the way, to quote or to paraphrase Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yes.
Help is not on the way.
Yeah.
And if you feel like that, get in touch. Maybe we could start a
little group.
Make triathlon real again. There we go.
There we are. Make triathlon real again.
We'll get some hats made. Donald. We'll get some hats made.
Yeah.
We'll probably have some from
T-shirts. I'll make some T-shirts at work.
Yeah, we'll probably have a load of hats from America next year, repurposed for Make Triathlon real again. But it's what it is. It's got to be more available to people. Yeah. And more accessible to people at every level, and we are offering that with our triathlons in Crowle next year in April and in September, where there is a relay event, so you don't have to do all the distance. There's a super sprint event. Not many people put super sprint events on.
It's a great introduction to it.
And so many people who have done it start off with a super sprint and think this is great, and then want to either do some more swimming, or I want to do the swim, bike, run duathlon, or they would come and do the sprint triathlon next time, because it's not as scary when they see actual other people who look and behave exactly like them and have the same worries and feelings doing it. So if you're a bit nervous, get in touch if you're worried about entering an event. But yes, we'll start this. We'll make this the start of our Make Triathlon real again. Yeah, we'll have a hat.
Yeah. So going on from what we'll talk a little bit more about relevant news. Well, recent news.
Or stuff that's going on
in the world at the moment.
So because today we've noticed flooding in Barcelona. So selfishly, is that going to impact our 10K on New Year's Eve? Probably not by that time.
No.
There'll be bigger problems if there is.
Yeah, we'll be underwater here because it's.
Although it's not, it's given us a bit of a respite so far.
Yeah.
Although it's unseasonably mild. I heard on the news this morning that for readers who are going to pick this up next week, it's bonfire night tomorrow, and they were saying on the news that it's going to be 20 degrees in London.
No.
On Wednesday, 20 degrees, and so you won't need to go in your hats and scarves to watch a bonfire. If you don't know what bonfire night is, because you are not an English person listening in, it is a weird celebration we have in England where we light a bonfire and chuck a effigy onto it to represent the Catholics who did not succeed in blowing up the king in Parliament in the 1600s.
A bit of history for you.
Yes, and we have fireworks. So if you think, what on earth is bonfire night, and why do English people particularly enjoy that? Well, there you go. Even though none of us are really anti-Catholic anymore, like then, certainly, but here we are, 400 years later, still having a bonfire and chucking a guy on there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yesterday we were talking about whether we were thinking about doing this race, Oliver. In fact, when we went, no, I'm on about Barcelona.
Oh, yeah.
Challenge Barcelona.
Yeah, because we were going to do the Olympic event, weren't we?
Yeah.
We were going to do the Olympic event.
Yeah, well, they had to cancel the swim because of the unseasonably large waves.
Yeah. And which is we'd have been disappointed to have to go and do a duathlon.
I wouldn't, but anyway.
Well, I would have been. I like swimming.
But and Jess Learmoth comes second. And she's never done a duathlon, and she hated it. But she probably would have done anyway because she's a good swimmer. Yeah, because she wanted to get the swimming. Obviously, that's her forte. But in true Jess Learmoth style, when it rains, it's only like Yorkshire. I think as well we're getting back into sort of following triathlon a bit more this year, rather than concentrating doing our own thing, and realising I don't know most of these athletes other than the ones who were about before COVID or
the 2020 Olympics, it's quite nice that there's going to be some more athletes that I know of next year taking part. Like, you know, Vincent Louis is going to be taking part in that. He's going to be moving up a level.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know whether Sophie Caldwell's now having a baby.
Yeah, so she
probably won't be out. But I imagine Vicky Holland might move up, even though she said she's retired. I saw on Instagram she'd gone on a 3-hour ride with Georgia Taylor Brown last week.
Yeah, well.
So it's difficult to give up.
Yeah.
But she might go and do some long course racing. There'll be quite a few people. Martin Van Riel's going to long course, isn't he? Who was already successful there. I imagine maybe Julie Derrin will do a bit more of it.
Yeah, because she's been at a stonking season.
T100, yeah. So let's see. It'll be more exciting for us because we'll know who people are. Although we really need to not have that excuse and get to learn who some of the.
But the other thing is, Oliver, is because we can't watch it on the telly.
Well, yes. Oh, and we don't listen to triathlon podcasts anymore.
No, because we're busy.
We used to listen to lots of them before when we were commuting together.
Yeah.
But we've just fallen out of the habit of listening to them, and I can't really. We don't listen to triathlon news podcasts, so I don't know who people are. And there were, like in the heyday, lots of good podcasts that interviewed athletes in a way that wasn't formulaic, weren't they? Like TRS Radio. I mean, so what you like about that, it might have been too sweary or to the point for some people, but it was a different way of interviewing athletes and talking about triathlon that wasn't just like, oh, so when did you get into triathlon, in the same interview every week, but with a different
and
person.
Tell us all your sponsors and like push out or what you want to sell and this, that and the other. So yeah, we're getting there a bit. I think we're getting
back into it in terms of an interest. Yeah. Well, longer course stuff, mainly because that's what I'm going to be doing again.
Well,
which I'm looking forward to.
Once I'm going to be dipping my toe into it, so I'm just getting myself right again. We say this every week. Oh. Well,
I've now got so many like shots of penicillin running around me. I think I must be immune to any disease, any bacterial disease for about a year. Having got my rash sorted, so and my hernia's fixed. We're off and running. I'm back in training, and then next stop Barcelona 10k.
Providing the weather is all right.
Yes, well, we don't need a canoe.
Yeah.
Although maybe that's a time we can do kayak-cross.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll become a thing. There might be a kayak-cross event we can do instead, which I really shouldn't joke about because people's lives are devastated by these floods. But you've got to have a silver lining and everything into it. Maybe we'll do kayak-cross on the beach.
Yeah. Or go spear fishing.
Yes, maybe spear fishing. Although I don't know if I'm brave enough to do that.
No.
Too cold.
Yeah.
So that has been more of a conversational episode.
But if you want to join the conversation,
yes, reach out to us on Instagram or on Facebook or email us, and we will gladly talk to you about our experiences. And like I say, let's try and make triathlon real again.
Hashtag.
And until next time, we'll see thee.
Thank you for joining us today.
See you next time.
See you then. Or as we say in Yorkshire, see thee.